Life isn't perfect, and neither are we.
Nope. But we know how to face our fears
And have some fun.
and talk about all the messiest things of life.
Like the messiest things.
Get connected to yourself, get connected to others, and get connected to the life right in front of you.
This is The Connected Life with Justin and Abby.
That's me.
That's you.
And you.
Mariah, you're supposed to start.
Hi, welcome to The Connected Life with Mariah Hardy and Justin and Abby.
That's me.
That's me.
And me.
Oh my gosh. So
Cute, it works perfect.
yeah.
Well, you guys, were you going to say?
No, it sounds like you want to go.
You guys, I'm here with two people that I love,
Uh-huh.
and we've had to restart this 5 times.
I'm here with one person that I love. You two figure out which one it is. Anyways.
Depending on the day, it would probably be either one of us.
No, I'm really excited to restart this podcast again. All of you, if you've been listening for any amount of time to The Connected Life, you know that we restart our podcasts and re-record very often.
Only in this season because of my own PTSD.
Yeah, well, we both had our own triggers in it.
Yep.
But today we kicked off an episode. We're going to be talking about feedback with Mariah. If you guys haven't listened to the another episode we've done with Mariah recently, we recorded one on ownership, and that was phenomenal. And we decided to circle back and do one on feedback because Mariah's great at taking feedback. She's been just beaten over the side of the head by Abby for like 13 years with feedback. And she can take it like a champ.
I shudder.
But we had started and we bumped into a wall.
Snafu.
Yeah, we had a little snafu.
And so we talked through it.
Yeah, and we gave each other feedback.
Yep.
And it went pretty well, huh?
It
right?
did go well.
It went well, right, Mariah?
It went so good. Nothing I would have changed. They are the best at everything.
They were so calm and nice through the whole thing.
They never have triggers.
I blinked twice.
I blinked twice.
Funny.
Get me out of this, save me. Anyways, we're going to have a whole conversation about feedback today. If you guys haven't listened to Mariah, Mariah is a fellow life consultant that has trained up inside of the space with us.
Yeah, we've trained her for 13 years. She's been around.
Mm-hmm.
She's amazing. She's helped in our school. She teaches in our courses. She's phenomenal at leading people into healing and breakthrough. She's so good at being honest and vulnerable, and she's so relatable. People are always happy to hear somebody who's accepted so much of the messiness of their humanity and can find joy and love in the midst of that.
And she's a sassy, independent thinker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
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 Anyways, we want to get into talking about feedback today. When I look at feedback, I think that feedback is one of the most vital things for personal growth and development.
Yes.
When we have an opportunity to have a mirror held up to us, it's an enormous gift for all of us. And feedback is one of the most terrifying things, oftentimes, both to give and to receive,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because we oftentimes don't know how to deliver it well, and we haven't been taught oftentimes how to receive it,
well.
and we don't necessarily have the shame resilience to take feedback. But it is something that I think is going to be very helpful for a lot of people when we talk about it today.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I thought I'd just kick off with a story of feedback that changed my life.
Okay. What did I tell you?
It's not from you.
Oh, okay.
Oh. So, as I was training people, Mariah was a part of a group that I was helping to train. And there was probably 3 or 4 of them in my office, and we were talking through something. And one of them shared this story about high school and about how they'd been bullied. And one of the other people could not believe that bullying was real in high school. They were like, no, that doesn't really happen. Like, they thought the TV shows were like made up drama. They didn't believe that anyone would actually be bullied in high school. And
They were homeschooled, right?
no,
What?
no. They just lived in a happy bubble in high school and didn't notice that there were bullies or people getting
I
bullied.
don't remember this moment, but I know exactly who you're talking
about.
about.
Yes, they were in like an oblivion world. And so I got so confused by what was happening. I was like, you don't know that bullying is real? You thought that was made up? And when I am confused, come across like a condescending a-hole. I just come across so judgmental and harsh and mean, but I did not know that
That was
in
a
this
very
situation.
nice way to put it.
I was watching your face. I was like, how does he respond to this? Does he go, or just you stand still and pretend like I'm fine?
Yes. So what happened is I got up to go to the bathroom after that, and I came back, and the person was like, are you mad at me for not knowing bullying is real? And I was like, no, I'm not mad at you. It's hard. I can't understand it, but I'm not mad. Like, why would I be mad at you? Like, that's the craziest thing for me to be mad at. Like, why would I be mad?
Mm-hmm.
I'm just confused. Like, it's so surprising to me. And then, you were in the room, you and one other person, you were like, no, it definitely felt like you were mad.
Mm.
And I was like, what? Felt like I was mad? And you guys were like, yeah, it felt like you were really angry. And it blew my mind because no part of me felt angry. My insides were not angry. And I think when we're talking about feedback, one of the most important things to start with is the belief that we do not come across externally how we are feeling internally all the time. Now, sometimes I'm feeling love and you feel my love. Sometimes I'm feeling shut down and you feel that I'm shut down. But then there's a lot of times when I'm feeling confused and you think I'm judgmental, or I'm feeling anxious and you think I'm mad, or I'm feeling sad and you think I'm cold. You know, like there's so many ways that we internally experience an emotion in our body, but the energy of how it comes out is very different to the people around us. And so you guys were like, no, you seemed angry. And I was shocked that I could even be considered angry, because it felt so like, I'm like, I would literally not even be triggered. Like there's nothing I wasn't bullied, but I believe in bullies. So I was like, I believe in bullies. I was literally like, there's nothing about this that would make me angry. So it was a great opportunity for me to recognize, oh, when I get confused, I come across angry. That one moment changed my entire life, because this was probably our biggest pain point without me knowing.
Yeah, no, it was one of the biggest pain points. It was something that for years I found myself, I mean, I don't know if this is too, I felt like kind of a human garbage on the other side of it. Like, you're so stupid. What is wrong with you, Justin? How could you do this? How could you say that? Like, there was a lot of that. I mean, I'm not trying to get some sympathy out of the situation.
I didn't say you're so stupid. For clarity, that's how you were feeling.
Yeah. No, that's what I felt on the other end of that response.
Yeah, because they would come across so condescending.
Yeah, super condescending, and it would send visceral responses through my entire system. Right. And I do think it was a really cool thing. Like, without that feedback, we'd be divorced.
So what I'm hearing is I saved your marriage.
Yes.
Yeah, thanks,
thank you.
Mariah.
We brought you on here to
celebrate you. Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you for that.
It's funny that you don't even remember that story.
No, I have a bad memory.
But the scenario is oftentimes we lose feedback from the people that are closest to us. I remember my mom saying that all the time. Like, somebody else would give me input and I'd be like, that's amazing. And she'd be like, I've told you that 10 times.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Why did you not listen to me? And I know inside of marriage, sometimes it can be very hard to hear feedback, or a dating relationship, because I feel like you have your own filters and you have your own triggers. And so it doesn't always feel like, is that accurate about me?
Mm-hmm.
It's very easy to feel like it's unsafe. And so I like to have a lot of places to get feedback from,
Mm-hmm.
because then you can start to see the themes that really are true. So once I went home and shared that with Justin, he was like, yes, that is an experience. That is an experience that we have. And then I started like it was like the light bulb turned on, because there's so many situations. I'd been in a conversation with a friend of mine and she's like, you are so angry. And I was like, no, not angry at all. Like that happened so many times for me.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden the light bulb was on of like, oh, every time I do this, people think I'm mad. I need to then start being open to recognizing it. And so now the feedback has made it so that I just call myself out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, listen, I have a confusion trigger. It's horrible to be on the other end of. I'm trying my best to figure out how to work it out, but it's a subconscious reaction often. So just let me know if I'm doing it, because most of the time now, if people will say, hey, are you confused? That's a real quick sign for me to be like, I must be coming across as an a-hole.
Well, so up until this point of revelation through feedback, there's potential that you are burning down entire human cities, like where relationally you're like setting
She's Napoleon.
yeah, just setting fire to a relationship, and you're not aware of it. You're not actually doing the thing that's setting the fire. You know, like that you're not actually being condescending or angry or that's not your heart posture. Or anything inside of
my
it.
intent. And honestly, for me, I have a lot of learning disabilities, and I'm on the ASD spectrum. And both of those things for me mean that if something's confusing, it is a big body reaction.
There's
for me.
something visceral.
I go into like a panic over not being able to understand something. And so the panic I feel in my body comes across like aggression to the people around me.
So my point is that without the feedback, there was relational
people
divides
just over and over again. We're like, man, she's so intense.
There were relational divides that you were creating unknowingly, and not purposefully whatsoever. And so that feedback was such a gift for you, because it created deeper connection and intimacy inside of our relationship and inside of all of your other relationships. And it didn't necessarily...
And it saved so many relationships.
Yeah. And it didn't necessarily mean... Because a lot of times when we think of feedback, it means that when we're getting feedback, it means we've done something bad or wrong. And it could be like, no, the feedback that you're getting isn't about you've done anything wrong. It's about this is the experience that we're having. You might not be aware of how you're coming across and how it's landing.
We're often not aware of how we're impacting people.
Correct.
Didn't you have what was the thing that you said about we're not a good witness of ourselves?
Yeah, we're terrible witnesses of ourselves.
Do you want to explain that?
Well, actually, as you were talking, I was like, I have a great example of this. I was waiting. My husband, Daniel, was... we were going to watch, I think we'd paused a sports game or something. We were waiting to watch it. And so he's upstairs. And if you are the spouse of a man, you know, I don't know, I feel like they just groom at the most inopportune times. They poop at the most inopportune times. Like, you're waiting for me to get ready. And then I'm like, let's go. And they're like, I should shave. No. Oh, actually I have to poop. Could you not have done that? So that's definitely like, oh my gosh, okay, we're waiting again. And it's fine. It's nighttime, but I could feel I was a little irritated that I was waiting so long. My friend is with me, sitting on the couch. We're waiting. Daniel finally comes down the stairs. I remember Daniel took a really cute video of my niece on his phone earlier that day. And I had wanted to watch it ever since he took it, because she makes me so happy.
Aww.
So I was like, oh, can I see your phone? Will you send me that video of Lily? And he's like, in a minute. And then I'm like, okay, or I could just grab your phone and I'll do it right now.
Yeah.
You can wait. I'll do it in a minute. And like the way he came across felt like intense to me. Like he was like, didn't want me to control him.
Like, go pound sand, leave me alone.
Yeah. He probably was having an autonomy trigger.
Oh, totally. And then I was like, what do you mean? Just give me your phone. Like, is there then I was like, wait, you've been up there. Is there something to hide? Then like my brain is going, I'm like, no, you just give me your phone. I'll just send the video. And then we kind of like get into this fight. And then I'm being sarcastic and he's being shut down. And I was so confused why did he respond that way to me? I was thinking of my niece Lily. I felt so happy inside of me,
Totally.
so playful. I was like, just give me your phone.
Yeah.
No big deal. And we did get into a big fight. And also, I don't care about fighting in front of people. Daniel does not want to fight in front of anybody. So then I was like poking the bear in front of somebody. So the next day I call that friend and I'm like, hey, I'm still pretty amped about how he responded to me. And his intensity was a bit bigger than how I just explained it now. Like I was kind of taken aback by that. And so I was like, could you help? Like, was there anything that you could see of how I was coming across to him that would ask for a response?
Make more sense for his response.
And she was like, you were really demanding to him. You were being so nice to me, and then you switched when you were talking to him, and you were like your tone was demanding. And I was like, what? I felt so happy.
Yeah.
I couldn't wait to. I was just thinking about watching the cute little video of my niece. I literally could even still remember the feeling of, oh my gosh, I forgot about the video. He's here. I can have it. And then I thought, well, for the last 20 minutes, I've been stewing in a small amount of irritation towards him for not coming downstairs. That was completely unconscious to me. Until I look back and think, what led to me demanding from him? I was irritated, actually.
You're like, I feel out of control. Can you at least give me this? Yeah.
And so I had this whole thing that's happening inside of my brain that I didn't even know about. And feedback was such a gift because somebody was there who was an unbiased third party that could say to me, yeah, Mariah, you were demanding. And then that made it make sense. Daniel wasn't just being an ass. He was just responding to my tone sounding demanding. And so then I got to go and be like, hey, I realize.
Well, two truths can be true.
Yeah.
He might have been being an ass. And he might have been responding to your tone.
Well, yeah, I think in an ideal world, he would say, it sounds like you're being demanding.
Yes, totally.
Is that what you're meaning?
Yes.
Or I don't like the way you're talking to me, but here's my phone anyways. But I was able to come to him and own my side before I still explained, didn't, the way he responded still wasn't kind.
Yeah.
But I didn't feel like, oh, life is happening to me. He's just being rude. I was like, I helped that.
I helped create the situation, but I had no awareness of how I was participating in it.
Yep. So when you're saying that about, I felt fine. I didn't feel angry, but I came across so angry. I'm like, that happens to us all the time.
Absolutely.
Where we're having a stressed day and then we bark at somebody.
Yes.
Or we're doing something and then we feel fine towards somebody else, but we respond to them with the energy that we've been feeling all day.
Yes.
That's from a completely separate thing.
Absolutely.
And like for me, I'm like, I want feedback about that because I didn't mean to be a jerk to you just now. I don't have any feelings of wanting to be a jerk towards you. And if I'm being a jerk, I would like to know about it so that I can clean it up because it matters to me that I have relationship with you. Yes. And if you just experience me as a jerk, then you're not going to want to be around me.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the things you're talking about is the energy.
Yeah.
And a lot of times without feedback, we're not aware of the energy that we're bringing into a situation. So we can be doing all the things. Like there's been tons of things in our relationship where I'm technically doing everything right with Abby. Yeah. What is these air quotes?
Right.
How about you holster those?
Guys, we cannot start this podcast again. Put your air quotes away, Abby.
But I can genuinely feel like I am doing everything right. And then you're like, what's wrong with you? And I'm like, why are you, I'm not doing anything. And there's a situation of energy that maybe I'm not aware of, right? And that's something that I've had to work on inside of our marriage is like taking the feedback of she's feeling a certain type of energy. Is there something that could be going on inside of me under the surface?
Well, and this is the battle is intentions versus impact. And we actually talk about this in one of our courses called Relationship Glue. And there's such a battle, and we did this in our marriage a lot where you're like, I have good intentions.
Yeah, we got into that a lot.
But the way you're acting is hurting me. And he couldn't acknowledge the impact because he felt so accused about his intentions. And then I felt really gaslit about the impact because I was like, you're not acknowledging that you're coming across very differently than what you think. And for us, I mean, the humble frame is when I started to realize most of us are not always coming across the way we feel on the inside. How we feel like we're showing up on the inside is different. And there's all different kinds of ways of this, right? Like I might feel insecure on the outside and project that I'm powerful and confident. I might feel powerful and confident on the inside and project that I'm distracted.
Yeah.
I might feel on the inside really hungry and look like I'm going to kill you. Like there's so many times that what is going on in our internal world is not how the external world is experiencing us. And if we just begin to become aware of this, we can start to have the humility that when someone says we're impacting them, that doesn't mean we're bad or we did something bad or we had bad intentions.
Yeah. I want to say this. One of the number one relational disconnects that I saw coming through my office pretty consistently was the battle over intentions. So it was people saying, but my intentions were this, but you impacted me in this way.
Yes.
And it was the hunkering down and holding on to, but I didn't do anything wrong. And it's reasonable because we're like, I understand that inside of us, we're going, I have pure intentions, like you said inside of your story, and you're telling me that I'm bad rather than, and we're not able to see, they're telling me about the impact.
Right.
And the two things can be true. And that's the thing, because most of us think for me to acknowledge how I impacted you, that means you had to be right about my intentions. And instead of saying, oh, both of these things are accurate at the same time, I had good intentions towards you and I negatively impacted you. And one doesn't negate the other or deny the other.
Yeah. I almost, and maybe I could be challenged in this, but I almost think people never have bad intentions unless you're like a real crazy person. Like our protectors can have, I wouldn't even say, but like self-protective intention.
Yes.
So like I could feel really insecure so I could talk shit about somebody to feel like I belong. That is not a great thing to do, but my intention was to belong. And so I'm willing to step outside of myself and do something that has negative implications in order to belong. But I think like,
so you're saying a lot of negative behavior comes from self-protection.
Yes.
Right. It's not necessarily my intention is to destroy someone or hurt someone. Not that that doesn't happen.
Sure.
But most of the time it's, I'm just trying to self-protect.
Yes. And I think if we can live like that, and if we can look at everybody like that and all of our situations like that, it makes it not feel so like the pain is still there. If somebody talks crap about you behind your back, that sucks. It's really painful, but it is not because they hate you and they wish your demise. And even if they do wish your demise, it's probably not about you. It's probably because they're feeling super small and scared.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I think in everything, when I give feedback and when I receive feedback, my core belief is that people are doing their best. And if their best isn't showing up, it's because they're scared.
Yeah. And they're protected. I always say in general, so this doesn't include everybody.
Yeah.
People want to do good and be good.
Yeah.
But if that's not showing up, they're either doing behaviors they were taught or they're in self-protection or they're dysregulated.
Yep.
That typically, I think that is, and that's the frame that I look at things. And but it's important to have a frame like that so that I can look at myself that way. When someone gives me negative feedback, and I get a lot because I'm a difficult person.
No, you're not.
The wink. And so the concept is, if I don't believe that my intentions are good and that I just have self-protection things going on, or I'm dysregulated in ways, then it can start to destroy me hearing about how I'm impacting people. But that gives me shame resilience to believe that. And I think, the thing I've always said that I do have the power over, I may not have the power, like I still have a confusion trigger. I'm still dysregulated. I'm still coming out of PTSD. So I still can get snappy or be hardened faster than I want to be.
Mhm.
I don't have power to be perfect. What I do have power over is to try to be safe to talk things through afterwards with
Yeah.
people.
Right.
What I do have power over is to be willing to own my impact when I'm messy. Like, it is impossible to not be a messy person. It's impossible to not hurt other people. It's impossible to not impact people negatively.
Yeah.
So the thing that it felt like I quit trying to be perfect because I saw that will never happen.
Mhm.
And instead I was like, I'm not going to be perfect. So how can I find a way to grow my capacity to clean up and resolve and repair with people when I show them inevitably the things about me that are imperfect?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh,
Did you
go
have
ahead.
something more
No,
you
go
had to
ahead.
say there? Yeah, you're talking about the messiness. And I think that when it comes to taking feedback, for me personally, the more that I've accepted that I'm really messy, the more that I have the capacity to receive feedback. Just me sitting down and accepting, like, I know that I'm messy. I know that I have very difficult areas that show up, and I am not going to deny that reality. And
Yes.
so when if we're living in a denial bubble, this thing that says, no, there's no problems with me.
Nope.
I've got everything worked out.
How dare they say that about me? They don't
Totally.
know me at all. I would never be like that.
Mhm.
But it's like when you pre-settle in your soul long before you even get into the arena for the battle that's about to happen. Like, if you've already pre-settled, like, this is the reality, is that I am difficult and I accept that. And there's good things about me. When people come and they sit down to have the conversation, you're like, yeah, okay, I'm willing to hear that. There's probably some truth inside of that I need to go think about.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel so tormenting.
And yeah. And one of the ways that has helped me listen to feedback is to not decide that what they're sharing is 100% true about my internal world.
Yep.
They're sharing about my impact.
Right.
And so I can hear that and say, like, maybe somebody's like, and then you were so aggressive towards me. I might hear, okay, so they felt some kind of energy that was intense. I'm not going to decide that they're right, that I'm aggressive on the inside.
Yeah.
I'm going to decide there must have been some kind of energy that was confusing for them.
Mhm.
What was going on inside of me that could make that feedback make sense?
Yeah.
Which is exactly what you did with the person you asked. They said, oh, you felt really demanding. And you're like, well, what was going on in me that could have come across demanding?
Mhm.
So somebody might say, you came across really aggressive. And I might be like, oh, you know what? I was feeling really misunderstood, and I was feeling the need to try to be understood real quick.
Mhm.
And that energy could probably come across like I'm coming at something fast.
Mhm.
So I'm really sorry that felt aggressive.
Yeah.
Like, I'm really sorry that that's how I came across. I'm sorry that that's how my energy showed up. Internally, that's not what I was meaning to do. And what that does is it means I don't have to be gaslit by other people.
Yeah.
Telling me what my intentions are, telling me what I did or didn't do. Like, other people's feedback doesn't get to control me knowing myself,
Mhm.
but it also can open me up to understand the dynamics that we're creating together.
Yeah.
Well, and it's vital to let go of the idea that the feedback that they're giving me is saying something about who I am.
Mm-hmm.
Once I can remove the idea that this is a conversation about who I am, now all of a sudden my identity is no longer in question. My value isn't in question. And that's not going to change from moment to moment. So if you come to me and say, hey, you're doing all these terrible things, I'm like, well, this isn't about who I am as far as my identity goes. But I definitely know that I'm bringing an impact into this situation. It's very much easier for me to engage that.
Yeah. And what we're talking about is a frame on the world that relieves shame enough for us
Correct.
to actually hear and gives us agency. Because when people give feedback, we need to still be able to choose,
Yeah.
what do I think and feel about this, while also being able to hold their experience as valid.
Mhm.
And most of the time when I was in the past, I accidentally would just deny people's experience entirely
Yeah.
because that wasn't my intention. I'm
Yeah.
like, my intention is to love you. You don't feel loved. That's your own trigger.
Mhm.
I did that a lot in marriage. I denied a lot of your experiences that you're having when you're trying to give me feedback. I mean, there was ways that you delivered it, and I think we need to talk about deliveries and feedback where there was a lot of blame language and how it happened, which was difficult. But I denied a lot of it, and I sat there and exasperated the situation because I was so convinced that my intentions were so opposite.
Yeah. You're like, my intentions are good.
Yeah, over and over again. And I was so angry.
Good.
I was so angry about it. I was like, I have such good intentions, and I keep being told basically that I'm bad.
Yeah.
Yes.
At least that's how I interpreted it.
Yeah.
Maybe that's sometimes how you delivered it. I don't know.
But I think too, like, it's hard to just have your spouse be the person giving you feedback.
100%.
Extremely hard.
It's almost like now that I know some things about me, Daniel can give me feedback.
Yes.
And I don't like it, but I know it's true.
Mm-hmm.
But
maybe you discovered it outside of him.
Oh, I definitely discovered it. I thought he was batshit crazy thinking these things about me. And then somebody else told me that. And then I was like, okay, could be true. But I think that's why it's so important to give feedback to your friends.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you have a primary attachment and they're telling you you're doing something wrong, you're immediately like, well, now I'm going to be abandoned and it's terrible and I'm terrible. And you have too, like, it's too
so
big.
scary.
It's too close. Until I think you should give yourself feedback, even if they have, or your spouse feedback, even if they have big reactions. But I see why that would be. So I see why you didn't know that you had a confusion trigger until it was somebody else telling you. Justin's probably been telling you for years.
100%.
But you can't hear it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I do think learning certain things about me outside of marriage was quite helpful.
Talk about why and how. Like, what did that change for you?
Well, I knew that I liked control. That I learned probably. Well, actually, I learned judgment because you told me that I was judgmental. But you did it in a very nice way.
Yeah.
We were talking about the Enneagram, and I thought I was a 3 on the Enneagram. And then I found out some people that I knew were doing something that I thought was morally wrong. And then I was like, can you believe they're doing this? And you're like, I don't know why you think you're a 3 on the Enneagram. You've got way too much judgment to think that you're a 3. I think you're a 1. And I was like, but it was the nicest way you could have said it, because I was like, me and all the other ones are judgmental.
Totally.
And then I thought I was a 1 for a little while.
And I was saying it as a 1.
Yeah. No,
so
right.
I was like, listen, I'm in the bucket.
You did.
Yeah.
You have often given me feedback saying, I am
do
like
the same
this.
thing.
And I think that's a really nice way to give feedback.
Yes.
Especially if it's to a friend. Hey, I know this in me and I see this in you.
That's so true.
I have so much. When I do this, this is what I'm thinking. This is what I'm feeling when I do this. And I see it in you. What do you think? And so I knew I had judgment. I found out that I was hypocritical. Daniel would tell me that I was being a hypocrite all the time, like in a nice way. Not really. But he'd be like, you do that. Why are you telling me not to do that when you do that? And I'm like, I don't do that though. I don't do it. Well, I don't do it exactly like that.
Right.
But the heart of it is the exact same. And it wasn't until we had a bit of a relational snafu with another person that was close to us, and they kind of blew up on me, and they were like, you're hypocritical and you're judgmental and all of these things. And the way they worded it was not nice, but the feedback was true. And I was like, this is actually not the first time I've heard I'm hypocritical. And when I break this down, I am hypocritical. And so I catch it all the time. And Daniel will still be like, hey, it feels like you're pointing out something in me that you do consistently. And then I'm like, shoot, yep, I'm being hypocritical. Or I'll just say, oh, I think my control's coming out right now. Because then I can just own it. And it makes everybody around feel so much safer. So I do narrate through, because I know that I can be hypocritical, judgmental. I don't like to be in the wrong. I don't like to make mistakes.
Yeah.
I mean, some mistakes are fine, but I don't like failing people.
Totally.
And so I can just narrate through that now.
So now when he brings up one of the areas, so basically you're like, I've already recognized that I have these tendencies. These are my self-protection tendencies. I use control to protect myself. I use judgment to protect myself. I have a lot of fear. And so I know this is what I'm like. And I've gained that from feedback throughout the years. I've had people be honest with me, and I've realized I can be this and be lovable. That doesn't mean I'm fatally flawed or never going to belong or never going to be enough. I can just say, yes, this is true about me. So now in a conflict or in a moment where he can point it out, you're not having to battle, is it true or is it not? You can just say, I know that's one of my tendencies. So you're right. That is one of my tendencies. And that ability to instantly own, I am probably in control right now, because that is one of the things I do when I feel unsafe. Then it de-escalates a little bit the situation, because people feel so relieved when we say what is happening energetically. When we say, and that's actually what happened in the conflict we had between this. I said something to Justin where I was like, I feel like this happened when you were triggered. And he was like, I did do that.
And I could even feel your energy like, oh, okay. That's all I needed. I just wanted you to say, you did that.
I just wanted to know that it did happen.
Thanks.
Okay, great. Let's do the podcast. I'm ready to go.
But it is so true, because I think
it's the opposite of gaslighting. Is when somebody says, you're right, I was controlling, or you're right, I am coming across intense, or you're right, I am dysregulated.
When you reality confirm for people, it makes them feel like then they're allowed to own their part of it. And I think that's how you create a lot of safety in relationship, which is why I like it so much, is because I've noticed now everywhere I go, into any culture I plant myself in, I'm going to give feedback, and I'm going to ask for feedback, and I'm going to take a lot of ownership. And I've watched how, even I've worked at like a really dysfunctional restaurant. Restaurants are like the most dysfunctional. And I am the most ownership person. Like, I'll be in a bad mood. Something bad has happened. And I'm like, I'm so sorry I'm speaking to you like that. I'm really stressed. This has nothing to do with you. And people are endeared to that. And then people are like, or I'll say, hey, the way you spoke to me felt really hard. I wish that in moments of stress that we could talk to each other a bit kinder. Well, I also don't talk kind when I'm in stress.
Totally.
And I own it. So that means I also can ask you to own it. Because I am not, there's parts of me that are that can be hypocritical. And then there's parts of me that are not hypocritical.
Totally.
So when somebody says that, I'm like looking at only the parts where I'm not hypocritical. And I'm like, no, what do you mean? I live by a moral code of anti-hypocrisy. But then we don't also realize sometimes we're this huge spectrum of lots of different things.
Multiple things. I love what you're saying though, is I can give feedback to people for what I'm owning myself. And even so, when I often try to do this when I give feedback, try to figure out how I'm like them. So that it doesn't sound like I'm saying I'm better than you, looking down at you, giving you feedback. I'm trying to think through, you know what? I actually go into self-protection and can get kind of edgy. And I was noticing today in the conversation when you were talking to your friend, you came off a little edgy, and I understand that feeling inside of me. But it's much easier to give feedback and to be able to explain that when you are owning it yourself, because when I'm seeing you as an equal, I'm looking at you as a peer, and I'm saying you don't belong less because you're like this, because we're actually similar. And I can actually feel more belonging with you because I get this thing with you. That makes feedback so much more palpable or receivable.
As you're talking, I was like, it's almost like the thing that in gossip we feel connected to on like being like other people's weaknesses. But like the better way to be connected is like our own weaknesses that are just like, it's instead of, you know what I mean? Like you feel bonded in that. But I think you feel even more bonded when I'm saying I'm messy and you're saying you're messy and we're messy in some of the same ways. It's like
Yes.
the greater way to bond.
Oh, it's euphoric. I'm
It
thinking
is.
about those conversations I have where we both are like, oh, I wish I didn't go into blame with my husband when I was really mad, but it's so hard not to. And someone else is like, I know, blame is so hard not to go into, and you feel defensive. And then you're like, we feel safe to be who we are.
Yeah.
Because we can see that we're not alone.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I want to add another aspect of feedback that sometimes doesn't necessarily come from someone directly giving you feedback. So, one of the pieces of feedback that's come from you in our marriage historically was talking about me being intense. And that was a strong battle that we had, because what I perceive as intense and what you'd perceived as intense was two entirely different things. Like the spectrum was enormous. I'm like, dude, I grew up in a house over here. There's nothing intense whatsoever about how I'm communicating right now. Because intensity looks like,
and you're like, I'm not like that.
I'm not like
I'm
that.
not yelling like that.
But so on my spectrum, I had moved very drastically to a place that felt very not intense to me. And on your spectrum, I'm on this end over here of intensity still. And then you would bring up other people in our environment, their feedback of me having intensity. And I would look at it and go, well, what I was always trying to really say is their temperament, of course they're going to think that I'm intense. Their temperament is on this end of the scale.
Yeah.
But I'm not intense. All of my relationships, my close friendships, this isn't considered intense. This is casual talking. And it was hard for me to kind of connect with what that, like, okay, they're wanting, because I always felt like you're wanting me to utterly destroy all of who I am and become a very passive, mute human being that has no expression whatsoever. That's definitely what it felt like in my experience. And
imagine somebody who thinks that I'm trying to take all their personality away from them, and they're like, no, you can never make me be less intense. I'm not intense.
I'm like reliving a situation in my marriage right now. I just zoned off into like, wow, we've done that. Anyways, continue. I'd like to find out how it ends. Is it good?
So it felt like any sense of passion that I had was being expected to be stripped away from me. And as life would have it, there was certain things that were evolving inside of me. And I was starting to commit to, I want to figure out how to show up in a way that's receivable. But I don't know that the fullness of it had landed until someone came into our environment who was, their expression of passion was so intense that I felt disgusted and repelled by being around them.
Because they were so intense?
Well, I'm looking at them and I'm like, oh my God, you're so intense.
Oh.
Calm down. Like, you're so dysregulated all the time. And I was angry at it. And suddenly the feedback that I received was from myself.
Oh,
because
yeah.
A human
Somebody
mirror
mirrored it for you.
that reflected the behavior. And now I'm sitting and I'm going into a posture of even judgment of like, what in the hell is wrong with you? I'm like, oh, oftentimes the things that we are judging is our own being giving us a sense of feedback because we're looking into a mirror. You'll see that even in dynamics between certain children and parents, where a parent will just despise one of the kids and they're the exact same two people, right?
Totally.
And it's like, oh, you just got a mirror held up to you and you're getting life feedback right now, but you're not aware of it. And so this is one of the things that I wanted to highlight, is that you may be having feedback come through your life, and the way that it is it's that person that just drives you insane and just pokes you in the wrong way. And if you ask, how am I like them?
I always think I have to be like them if they irritate me that much.
Yep.
Yes.
I have to be similar to
Yes.
them.
Like, there must be something that I judge in me that I'm judging in you.
Yep.
And this is meant to help me love myself more
Yes.
and love you
Yeah.
more.
Mhm.
And yeah, I was just so repelled by their behavior that I committed to like, I have to make sure that this isn't an expression side of me. And I have to forgive something inside of me
Yeah.
that has been this way.
Well, and the interesting thing about the person that you're talking about is they weren't intense because they were angry. They were intense because they had panic all the time.
Yeah.
Mm.
They were in
That anxiety.
self-protection all the time. And that's actually the most mirror that it could be for you,
Yeah.
which is you felt angry all the time to me.
Yeah.
Your
You thought I was angry, and I
intensity-
was always like, I'm not angry. And that made me angry. Then I get angry because I'm like, I'm not angry. And you're like, you feel angry now. I'm like, I am angry now. But I wasn't. But you're
But
right. It was
Anxiety is very intense in a
Mhm.
lot of ways that people show it and showcase it in life. And it it can be very aggressive and it can feel really intense. But on the inside, you're feeling fear or panic.
Yeah.
You're not necessarily. So for a lot of our relationship, you were feeling the panic, not the
Yes.
aggression. And so there
Mhm.
was this huge disconnect. And I felt gaslit for years because I was like, the way you're impacting is for sure happening. And you're like, but my intentions are not that.
Yes.
And we came together when you're like, oh, I could be coming across very different than how I feel on the inside.
Yeah.
And why those are interesting mirrors is because we see ourselves in our behavior through our intention first.
Yes.
Correct.
And we don't see other people through their intention.
We see them through their impact
yes,
first.
just their impact first.
Yes.
And then we have to fight to find their intention
Intention.
if we're curious enough.
Yes.
But we have we're designed this way to like ourselves.
Yes.
So that's good. It's not a bad thing, but it is definitely something as we've evolved as a species that we have to keep into account that I am not seeing myself accurately at all.
Oh, yeah.
What was going on for you when you were zoning out? Is that worth
Oh, I
when
just
I was sharing the story?
you were talking about, well, then I tuned back in. So I might have to come back to it.
That's fine.
Yeah, I was thinking a lot too though about the places inside of me that or the places inside of Daniel that I have been the most judgmental for. I swear I was not like that. He's defensive. We're doing a podcast on ownership and feedback because you think that I'm really good at it. So certainly in marriage, I'm not defensive. And then the other day in a fight, Daniel was like, hey, does it seem like you're defensive right now? And I was like, shit, fuck, yes, I am. I think I am. I'm defensive. This whole time I've been saying it's you. You're defensive.
Yes.
And this is what I was thinking. As Daniel, I've been in the emotional health world for a long time. So I had the upper hand in terms of knowledge. We are on the same playing field in terms of dysfunction for sure. But
That's how
I
it
had more
works.
language for it.
It's how
but
we choose.
I thought I was better, but I was not.
100%.
So because I thought I was better, I would constantly be confronting him.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's feeling like the one that's always wrong.
The broken one.
The broken one.
Mhm.
And I was feeling like the not broken one.
Totally.
And we have had a flip in our marriage since
You got
Daniel started
PTSD.
counseling. And we realized he's just like,
But you realized you're actually both dysfunctional.
Yes, yeah.
That's the truth.
yeah,
He's not, you didn't flip to where like he's the healthy one now
Yeah.
and you're the broken one.
We're
'Cause
both.
You're just both
Mhm.
messy.
but he's been able to have bandwidth to show up in a way that I've always known that he could.
Mm-hmm.
And that has felt really beautiful, but it has been so confronting because all of the areas where I was on my high horse thinking I was just fine and he didn't know how to give me feedback.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're in a season where I'm getting loads of feedback.
And you're like,
Mhm.
ah.
And yep, I'm just like everyone else.
Well, I've started being logical. Like in the past, I'd be like, I'm not defensive. And once you learn about how your nervous system works and how your threat protection system works and how we're all trying to protect, I'm like, of course, we're all going to be defensive.
Yeah.
Who could not be unless
Totally.
you've spent years letting go of your ego and your resilience and retraining your nervous system. Like it
Mhm.
takes time to do that. But I'm like, most of the things that we want to immediately deny, it's because of what we think it would mean about us if we had those. So like maybe somebody's like, no, I'm not defensive. Because if I'm defensive, that means that I'm not good, or I'm not lovable, or it means that I'm just like my mom, or it means I'm just like my dad. And so the idea is we want to avoid acknowledging who we are because we want to avoid the meaning we've attached to that behavior.
Right. I mean, gaslighting is so painful. And I think a lot of people felt gaslit as kids. And there's certainly places where I did as well. And so I think I'm like, gaslighting's the worst thing. You don't do that. Daniel has gaslit me. And then I'm like, that's the worst thing ever. This is horrible. And then
when you find out you've gaslit,
I have been gaslighting him our whole marriage. And I had no idea.
Totally.
But if I think my point of view is the right one, then of course I'm gaslighting him. So that was an area of feedback that I've gotten is I feel safe when I think that I'm right. And so I will hold on to being right and good as hard as I can.
Absolutely.
And so now, because I know that about me, when Daniel and I are in a conflict or in a disagreement or even in a conversation, he can now just say, hey, it feels like you're holding on to that. And I'm like, yep. I can actually feel the energy of, I don't want to let this go. I don't want to be wrong. I don't want to be bad. And luckily we've like grown to this place in our marriage. I've talked about all the like PTSD season of it, but we've grown to this place where there is enough safety on knowing you. And that is actually the best part about going through something like PTSD is because you're like, you're not leaving.
Yeah.
Like you've seen her at her worst. She's seen you at your worst. And I actually don't have the question anymore. If I become a rage maniac, will you leave? No. And so we've built through that this place where we're the safe landing spot for each other in our messiest, but it takes a ton of ownership and a constant loop of feedback to figure out how we're affecting one another.
Yeah. I was thinking about I just wanted to circle back to the gaslighting thing, which was, so when you judge that gaslighting is bad, it's the thing that's hurt me the most, and it's culturally unacceptable right now.
Unacceptable.
And so when somebody says you're doing that behavior, we want to say, no, there's no way I could be doing that.
Yeah.
Because that would mean I need to hate myself the same way I hated my parents who did it. Or that would mean I need to judge myself the same way culture judges it. Or that would mean that. And so I always think that if I can't receive feedback, it's because I've judged something, and it's the invitation to release the judgment I am holding, to let go of, oh, you know what? People who gaslight might have good intentions sometimes, because I actually still had good intentions sometimes.
Yep.
People who gaslight may not be evil. People who gaslight may be trying their best. And so I need to and it actually invites me to forgive.
Yeah.
It invites me to see, oh, I could hurt my kids the same way that my parents hurt me.
Yeah.
Oh, I could do this behavior. And when I can actually see it as an invitation to let go of judgment for everything, because it'll kill me if I keep judging gaslighting and you keep saying I'm doing it. It'll just make me feel like the worst human. Or we can give it up and accept that this is part of humanity. It's part of human protection. And now we have the ability to learn and grow.
I mean, all gaslighting is you're telling me something that feels too intolerable for me to accept because I'm scared that if it's true, then I'm bad and you're going to leave me.
Yes.
I can have so much compassion for that. That's what gaslighting is.
Well, that's the technical gaslighting is that I'm purposefully trying to make you crazy.
Yeah.
And so I'm lying to you to purposely make you feel crazy. And there's like maybe some more of like a very destructive intention involved in that. Like I want to make you nuts.
It's typically tied to like narcissistic personality disorder.
Or addiction.
So I'm more meaning just in like the general sense of I'm telling you your experience is not valid or true. in a relationship without someone maybe with narcissistic personality disorder
Yes.
or addiction. But like when I gaslight,
Yep.
that's what's happening. When
Yep.
Daniel gaslights, that's what's happening. We're saying something that's too intolerable and I can't
Mhm.
accept it. So you must be wrong and I
Yes.
must tell you you're wrong so that I don't
Yes.
have to accept that I'm that bad.
Because it's so scary.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What did you have to say?
Well, going back to you'd asked, this was a while ago, but you'd asked your friend as they'd been witness of the scenario, you
Mhm.
deliberately said, hey, how did you perceive what was going on there?
Yeah.
And one of the things that I've been actually really consistent about, I don't know if Abby knows that or not, but we don't, I mean, you watched in our first exchange here when we started to try and shoot this podcast, where we're unfiltered, and you've been around us in our house when we're unfiltered. If we have emotions, we're gonna exchange it back and forth and not try to hide it from the people around us, because we want to live authentically and whatever. And so, but for a lot of times when Abby and I have intense exchanges that are public ones, I oftentimes go back to people and I say, what did you see about how I showed up inside of that?
So smart.
What am I missing about the role that I was playing inside of that? Because I really want to understand, especially if I feel confused, where I'm like, I didn't do shit and she popped off and I don't know what's going on in her world. I'm like, I'm pretty convinced I didn't play a part in this. I want to understand, like maybe I'm unaware of something. And I think that to me is a really vital part of the feedback process, is being proactive in these moments that are happening rather than waiting for people to bring it to you, being like, hey, I'm committed to, like, if I have an exchange that doesn't go well, I'm going to ask the environment around me. Like this happened on a previous podcast when Johnny and Pizzi were here. We were out at the lake and there was an explosive moment that went on between me and another person in a parking lot that was driving. And they popped off, I popped off. And I was pretty quick to go to Johnny and Pizzi and be like, guys, what did you see was happening? What was that experience like inside of that? And that doesn't make me a superhero for doing it. I'm just saying, like, I was willing to do that. And, it led to, Johnny and I have an exchange at the pool where he was like, yeah, I mean, like, there's been a lot of intensity that I've seen you bring into your world. And he sat down and broke down the ways that he's experienced intensity and stuff like that. I'm like, thank you so much for being honest, Johnny. There are areas that I even had disagreement inside of me over it. And I don't know that he was right about certain aspects. It didn't matter. I wasn't in an argument in my soul about it. I was more like, what can I extract that is truth inside of this?
Yeah.
Or how am I coming across?
Yeah. Or how am I landing?
Regardless of, like, clearly I'm coming across intense to this person.
Yeah.
So there's something about my energy that is not calm.
Yeah. Yeah. So that to me is vital. The other part of this is for people who are wanting to give feedback, and maybe you can give some suggestions on how to give feedback. I do want to say that, we've been talking about the ice, like identifying. Identify with what's happening right now, and let me tell you what I'm seeing. I see this in me. I see it in you. Let's talk about it. I think also feedback that's helpful is when there's not blame language.
Yeah.
I think there's it's almost like an art form, trying to learn how to
like
not
a
have
whole series on
blame,
not using blame language
and what blame language is, because blame language is so triggering for people. And it gets so personalized, and rightfully
and it's so hard not to do when you're protecting yourself.
But if you really want someone
to be heard,
to hear you and get feedback from you, you have to learn how to talk about the personal experience that's happening inside of you, talk about that impact, and talk about it without the anger, the frustration, the bitterness, the resentment, and talk about it without the blame.
Yeah.
So,
well, I think to start off, I am not an expert on the situation. I only know my side. And to be honest, there's so much that's happening subconsciously that I don't even know all of that.
Yeah.
And so,
I just want to clap for that point. It's because that's something we haven't talked about.
Yeah.
And you shared it in the story earlier when you're like, I didn't even realize subconsciously I had built up that frustration at Daniel. And what you're saying is so true. And we forget this, which is even within ourselves, it's impossible to know everything that's going on in any given moment.
Right. Which is why God is so nice, because he says he knows us all, and then he still unconditionally loves us.
Yeah.
So sweet.
It's so sweet.
But
I'm sorry I ruined your flow of thought.
No. What I said was really brilliant. So I'm glad that you stopped us there.
It was really brilliant. It is what you said was really good.
What did I say again?
You were talking about...
Oh, I don't know everything that's happening inside of me. So that's why if I have a trigger or have something come up, or I feel like I need to give feedback, I come knowing I don't know everything and there is a lot that I'm missing. We naturally are going to create a story. It's just how our brain works. We want to fill in the gaps. We want to fill in the holes. I already have assumed what you meant by what you said. And so I have to stop a natural process that's happening and say, whoa. I actually don't know their intention. And my brilliant friend, Rachel, taught me that you should find out the truth as soon as possible. So I can have a rule for myself within 24 hours, I'm going to ask questions. I might not have a full feedback conversation by then, but I want to ask questions to find out if I can get more information. Because if you say something to me and I feel like, oh, Abby doesn't, like, she is really upset with me, or she's really mad at me, or thinks I'm annoying in this thing by one comment, and then I go on for a week with the energy of feeling rejected by you without even knowing that that's what's happening, that feels so unkind to me to do that. So within 24 hours, I'm like, hey, you said that. I'm curious. When I heard that, I heard this. Did you mean that?
Yeah.
Were you feeling that? And then giving you room to explain yourself. If in that moment I'm like, okay, now I'm ready for a feedback conversation, can I just let you know how that affected me? I can do that. But I could just be like, hey, this is what I heard. Is that what you said? If so, is that what you meant? I think there's part of the story I might be missing here. I think I have this story in my head, but that might not be your story. And getting more information, honestly, has cleared up probably 99% of all feelings, triggers, whatever that I've had. It's pretty rare that I have to be like, okay, with that information, now I need to tell you that really hurt.
Yeah.
Because I just, again, think most things are miscommunications or misunderstandings. And if we can just find the truth, find the other experience. But there's been a few times where I've been like, oh, yeah, that did hurt that happened. And like, even though your intentions were good, this was really painful. And so I tried to come without the blame language and just know that I have a whole history that has nothing to do with you that is also influencing how I'm experiencing this.
Yes.
That situation probably could be like a 3 pain, and my 6 pain is now making it a 9. And so I have to own that my 6 pain back here is affecting this. And then I feel like inside of feedback, everybody is going to be a little tiny bit charged. Like we're all a little self-protective.
We're all definitely self-protective.
Like, I've never been in a conversation where I've been like, wow, this is so easy.
All my guards are down.
I just feel open.
I'm wide open and safe.
So I always leave it open of like, is there anything else you need to hear? Is there anything else you want to say? And then we might need to have a follow-up. We might come down from this and figure out there's more, or we might feel like we needed to say something. So I just want to leave that open, because I think a lot of people feel like they have to be really good at feedback and give it all in one moment and then, okay, now we're done with it.
Totally.
But it's just, I find that to be adding more stress to an already stressful situation.
If you only have one shot.
Yeah, there isn't one shot. There's as many conversations as I need.
Yeah, one of the things that you said is that, or at least what I interpreted, was that in feedback, not coming with certainty. Like, I'm not certain about all the things that are playing a part here, and I'm not even certain about your intentions.
Yeah.
But I can tell you about me.
Yep.
And how I'm experiencing this in this moment.
Yep.
And that's a gracious approach. right? It's like, oh, I have grace inside of my soul as I'm saying this. I'm also, we've talked before, I'm giving feedback not from a place of being on a high horse
Yeah.
and thinking that I'm better than you, but feeling like, hey, we're equals. This isn't about whether or not you're good or bad. This isn't about whether I'm better or less than you.
Mhm.
This is just an experience. It's a matter of fact reality of an experience. And it's it's simplified like that.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
Wow, you're good at this.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
I have enjoyed this conversation.
Yeah, it's been good.
I think that this is a really important topic. And I was thinking like one thing, I know we got to wrap up real fast, but I was thinking about Mariah was saying how she has to ask for feedback because she has a real sharp personality.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I was thinking like, yes, I have a really big personality too. And so I also have to ask for feedback. So for me, it will often look like I'll check in after a meeting. Hey, I was feeling some intense energy about my own world. How did that impact you? Is there anything you need to share? Or is there anything, because I want to create a safe place for people to give feedback, and I want them to know that their experience matters.
I want to add this because it is necessary. If you're wanting to create an environment of feedback, and you're also inviting people to give feedback, then it's very necessary for you to posture yourself well in the reception of it. And part of what that looks like is being able to say, thank you for being so willing to have this conversation, to share. Thank you for your honesty.
It takes so much courage to give feedback. So if that's the reception on the other end, that's so kind.
So to me, it's necessary that we celebrate the people that are willing to participate in feedback. I think that also comes with knowing, like, I have to manage my triggers, my anger, my shame, my sadness, my responses of wanting to go turtle, pull away, things like that. And we have to posture ourselves to want to reinforce that we want to stay connected. Because honestly, a lot of times it's terrifying to go give feedback because we're scared of the disconnect that's going to happen as someone like responds, either feels like they're punishing as they lash out or as they pull away. That can feel like punishment. So one of the things that we want to do is we want to figure out, like, what are my behaviors when I get feedback that could feel punishing, so that I can actually be proactive at removing them or taking ownership for them. And again, celebrating people as they come. And that's going to help foster an environment of feedback massively.
Yeah.
I think I'll wrap up with this thought. If you've been abused in any way or bullied, feedback can be absolutely terrifying.
Yeah.
And so one of the easiest things that you can do is very simple, like what Justin did, is look for before asking for feedback, look for the people in your life that are driving you crazy and figure out how you're like them to get that safe feedback before you have to have a conversation. And then maybe take an observation about yourself that you've noticed and talk about it with a friend.
Yeah.
That is honestly some of the best feedback I ever got that changed my life the most, was being around somebody who drove me crazy day in and day out for a few years.
Yep.
And realizing I do everything that I'm judging. And that empowered me so much. And I would just go have conversations with my friends. Like, I think I'm realizing that, like, I have some really big reactions around this thing. I think I'm realizing that I must hurt people when I'm doing this thing because it hurts when it happens here. And that is a great way to start feedback in a way that feels safe and bite-sized, because you get to be in control a little bit by finding out and then picking someone who feels safe to talk through it with.
And I will wrap up with this last thing because I'm thinking all of us have pretty big personalities and don't fear this.
Yeah.
I mean, it's scary for us, but we fear it, but like, it's not going to stop us. But I've also worked with people that are so shut down, like so scared.
Yeah.
And that's very real and very valid. I don't think it is a reason for you not to pursue this and grow in it. But I like what you were saying of like little bite-sized things.
Pieces.
You don't necessarily have to be like, now I'm going to be going crazy on feedback. If you want to, that might be also a great way to overcome your fear. But I think I have been on the other end too of receiving feedback, and I freeze sometimes when I hear something hard. And you have a lot of permission to just say, I really appreciate you saying this.
I don't know what to
Thank
say
you.
right now.
I don't know what to say. I'm going to need
I'll
a little
circle
bit.
back.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's
good.
important to you, so it's important to me, but I'm going to need time.
Yeah.
You don't have to explain yourself or do anything. Like, that is all right too. Because I think someone could listen and be like, oh gosh, if that would be so scary getting confronted like that. And it is.
Yeah.
But sometimes people, need a little time.
If you want to work with Mariah, you can email her at Mariah G. Hardy Mariah G. Hardy Consulting
It's a great email.
at gmail.com. Mariah G. Hardy Consulting.
Mariah,
No.
MARIAH.
Wait. This was the wrong email. It's MG Hardy Consulting.
No, I did it wrong.
Just now. Let
MG
me pull up my Gmail just to make
Hardy
sure.
Consulting at gmail.com.
All right.
If you want to work with her, you can consult with her.
Yeah.
We have a course. If you're listening to this and you're like, I need help, we gaslight each other all the time. We don't know how to communicate in our relationship. We did an entire course to help with this exact thing, help teach you the intention, how to validate intention and impact. It's called Relationship Glue. You can get it on our website, justinandabby.com. Thanks for being here with us. We enjoyed it. I love you both. I'm proud of you. I've gotten good feedback and hard feedback from both of you, and I'm a better person for it. The end.
The end.
The end.
I have to go pee now. Goodbye.
Goodbye.